Let me give you one other astounding thing. Do you know that Teach for America is not in Ohio? Do you know that we have kept them out? Because we have to jump through hoops and cross T's and dot I's while the best and the brightest are available to teach in other parts of America? Oh, Teach for America's coming to Ohio. I promise you that. It's coming to Ohio. Folks, it's not all easy, though, because reform and restructuring cannot take us all the way to a balanced budget. It can't. Years of neglect, switching programs into the next fiscal year, smoke and mirrors, refusing to address the basic fundamental structural problems of our budget. It's what it is. A structural imbalance in our budget because we didn't take care of the foundation. See, we can't get all the way with restructuring. But you know what we're trying to do? As I mentioned earlier, we're trying to provide the tools to those affected to help them to absorb the loss of revenue and resources. We're trying to give everybody flexibility from state rules and regulations. Let's have common sense. We need to repeal these unfunded mandates that where we impose, we don't like when the federal government comes and shoves things down our throat. We have no right to shove things down that they got to figure out a way to pay for. So we need to work together to repeal these unfunded mandates. We need to employ shared services with everybody. The county executive in Cuyahoga County said there were roadblocks to his being able to share things across these governmental entities. Schools need to share services with cities. And frankly, folks, the provisions of collective bargaining reform are examples of what we wanted to do to allow people to control their costs. And by the way, I appreciate the passion of people that don't agree with us. I grew up in the 70s. I learned what protests were in the 70s. I understand it. And people who feel strongly, I respect them. I respect them. But they need to also respect those that don't always agree with them. Okay? Hey! To tell you that what I'm most concerned about in this budget. I'm most concerned about people who relied on stimulus money to continue to operate or even expand their programs. They're the ones that are going to have the hardest time coping with the change. I warned for 2 years, do not take stimulus money and use it to operate your budget. Do not take stimulus money and use it to expand your budget. Because I've always known that what the federal government giveth, the federal government taketh away. And no family would operate on one-time money to just have business as usual when they know the change is coming. But those entities that have done this, it's going to be tough for them. Trying to give you the tools, but I can't fill that stimulus gap. It is not going to happen. It is not doable. They should have been preparing. Mary Taylor and I both warned Mary repeatedly across this state not to use that one-time stimulus money to continue operations or expand them. They're the ones that are going to have the most difficult time, but we'll see what we can do to help. Now, I want to thank the legislature for the passage of Jobs Ohio. Look, this was really, really hard for Capri Cafaro to rally the Democrats in the Senate to vote for one of my most important initiatives. It took guts. I respect her for it. Don't you? But one more time, I just want to tell you, this bill and this operation, we're going to get the best and the brightest that we can find in Ohio, people who are these entrepreneurs and job creators. They'll be on the board. People will know what the heck they get, who they are. They're going to get paid any money because they don't need any money. They're just here to give back to Ohio because Ohio's been good to them. And we will hire underneath them people who are experts, people who understand how do we restore manufacturing in Ohio? How do we build a stronger healthcare operation in Ohio? How do we recapture financial services and insurance and banking? You got to have people that can talk the talk, and they move quickly. I'll tell you about moving quickly. The Avengers are coming to Cleveland because we move quickly, because we had people that understood the speed of business. And now we're going to have a great film in Ohio because Michigan dropped the ball and we moved quickly. And I am... But we need to move quickly. We need to move quickly in every area because business moves at the speed of light. The pay, public. We'll have an audit. But don't think in the box when it comes to Job Ohio. Think about the ability to get the best and the brightest. Folks, our people need work. Let's not shut down any opportunity that can allow our people to get work. They need it. I also want to thank the legislature for the passage of this common sense initiative. This is Mary's deal. I'll tell you what we're going to do. Let's figure out what stupid rules and regulations we have that kill small businesses' ability to get up and running. And I want to look at the concept of microloans. You know, we do microloans for countries in Africa. We're going to do microloans here in our core cities. And we do not want to choke these people with rules and regulations that make no sense. And we're working with the small business community, the bigger business community, our government operations, and the friction. We'll have more jobs, and we want all of you to participate. And, of course, I want to thank you, almost unanimous vote in the House and the Senate to pass these tax incentives to save Ohio business. These programs and this bipartisanship with the combination of lower taxes, smarter regulations, job-friendly government, and answering the phone can allow people to move at the speed of business. So yesterday, I go to Cleveland, Brooklyn. I don't know how they were going to set this stuff up. I got some good people that figure out a kind of cool ways to set things up, you know. And I walk in, and there in Brooklyn in American Greetings are all these employees. Frankly, if somebody were to tell you they're thinking about moving out of state, you wouldn't like it, scare you. Where's the kids going to go to school? Can I afford to move? What am I going to do? Walk in there yesterday and be able to have a solid package and have the CEO of American Greetings say that I am going to commit to saving $157 million worth of payroll. We will maintain creative jobs in Cleveland, and we will lead the country, and we don't need to get anybody from Palo Alto, California. We're going to get them to move to Cleveland because we are progressive, we are moving in the right direction, and we preserve 2,000 jobs in the city of Cleveland because of all of your help. It's a great day for Ohio. A great day for Ohio. And there's a lot more coming. There's a lot more coming on this front. But we need the powder, we need the resources to compete with these other states that are in here trying to take the best and the brightest of what we have. You know, I want to thank frankly, the Democrats for coming over on some of these votes. It's always easy, of course, to thank those that aren't always there. I want to thank the Republicans for standing tall throughout this first, seems like it's 7 years, it's only been 7 weeks, okay, as hard as that is to believe. But, you know, I always worked in a bipartisan way when I was a United States congressman. Ron Dellums, liberal Democrat, Oakland, California. I love Ron Dellums. One of my great friends. You know, I went to his wedding in California. I sat at a table with Willie Brown, Barbara Boxer, Dianne Feinstein, and I was the only Republican in San Francisco that day. But Dellums is coming here. He and I worked together, two lonely guys trying to limit the production of the B-2 bomber. People thought we were, well, first of all, they called us the odd couple. A lot more, obviously, handsome than I am, and a brilliant man. Yeah, the Pentagon wanted 132. We ended up reaching an agreement on 20 and saved $1 billion a copy. And we built a team of Republicans and Democrats that limited the production of a major weapon system. I am told it never happened before in the 20th century. It was great to work with Republican and Democratic colleagues, including Ralph Nader, who sang a little song in my office, to fight corporate welfare. And I'll tell you how I feel about it. Mark Kwame just clawed back about $900,000 from companies that made promises and they didn't keep them. We're not going to give taxpayers the money to people. They're not going to keep their promise. We're going after the money. That's the way it ought to be. So with corporate welfare, we're on it, okay?